Hello orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe.
Today in this video we're going to look at two mini Phalaenopsis orchid, but they're in one pot. These two were purchased from a local grocery store, and I couldn't pass it up because it was basically, two for the price of one. It's a mother and son kind of situation, I believe. They're two in one pot, and the medium that came with the orchids was coco coir. It's like a plug with coco coir. It's definitely not moss, and there's no bark chip, but it was looking quite okay, so I did not repot this orchid when its first initial blooms from the stores went away. This is the second time. This is the rebloom. The following spring, it started to put out 3 spikes. Because one of them put out 2 spikes, and then the other one in the same pot put out 1 spike. So I have a total of 3 spikes for these 2 orchids. It's a no ID because typically grocery store Phalaenopsis don't come with a tag. So I can't really tell you its name nor its parentage. Plus, it's not fragrant, so I guess the parentage and names don't really matter because I don't really need to. I don't have a way to research it, and it's not fragrant, so I can probably care less little. Okay, so because I didn't repot it right away, and they continue to put out more roots and leaves, so now with 2 being in one pot, you can see that the original container was already becoming too small, and lots of roots have grown out of the pot to become aerial roots. So it's actually very interesting. It's lovely to look at. I mean, the roots, right? But it was taking a lot of space, so I eventually decided that I will put this orchid up on the very top of the grow space. It's a rack, a grow rack, and I just put it on the very top because that way I have a less chance of damaging the roots when handling it. So this is the photos of these 2 orchids maturing, the blooms. And eventually it came to full bloom. There was no bud blast or anything like that. Even though it's not fragrant, I still find it very charming in a few ways. Number one, you do see that yellow edge of in all flowers, and then you have that really dark pink color in all the petals and sepals. So I find it pretty festive and busy when these 2 orchids are in bloom. Now, I do think that I will continue to wait to repot this orchid probably another year, and then I will repot because I look at the media, it still look okay. It's not breaking down or anything, so I think I'm gonna enjoy the roots a little bit more. And then I will give it a repot, and I think if I repot it, I'll definitely have to uppot it, meaning I will have to use a bigger container to accommodate for all these roots. I nowadays rarely buy grocery store Phalaenopsis anymore. This was one of the few ones that 2-3 years. At some point, when you grow orchids, your collection will grow, and you're gonna know which type of orchid you actually enjoy more. And for me personally, I actually enjoy primary hybrids or species orchids, who most of them are polychilous. So those are the ones that grow that bloom in summertime, summer blooming ones. So at some point, you're gonna have quite a bit of orchids, and you'll have to decide for yourself if grocery store Phalaenopsis will continue to provide the same level of enjoyment as the other types that you may be able to find elsewhere. And so for me, because the kinds that I enjoy usually don't appear at grocery stores, so gradually I noticed that I no longer purchase grocery store Phalaenopsis. And because I have enough of them, I have a few miniatures, a few medium ones, and then one large one. And this is considered a miniature, even though it's 2-in-1 and have substantial roots. And once I uppot it, I will still consider this a miniature one because they are small. But they do have, grocery store phals also have some benefits. For example, if you want to learn, or some people are keen about doing experiments, then the best way is to buy the same orchids, one or two or more the same orchids, and do different experiments. Maybe it's different methods, different setup, different medium, and then different watering schedule, different fertilizer dosage, things like that, to help you understand how certain factors can influence or impact the way orchids grow. So that they have benefits. Don't feel like grocery store Phalaenopsis are worth nothing just because I personally don't buy them anymore, because I have enough of them, and I also realize that I really enjoy species and primary hybrids a little bit more, and because those are not the kinds I can buy at grocery stores. So every time I go grocery shopping, I look at orchids, unless they are fragrant, or some varieties that I typically don't come across with, then yeah, sure, I'll get one or two, but otherwise they're really so replaceable. But speaking of replaceable, that's another benefit, right? When you're doing an experiment, and if the experiment don't go well, they're sick or they die on you, they're very easily replaceable. You can always wait until they have the same kind of orchids again, and if you like them enough, right, you can get them very easily for a very reasonable price. So that's another benefit of grocery store Phalaenopsis. And I'm sure many of you are just like my friends, who don't care if their orchids are species or primary hybrids or fragrant or not. They just like to look at the blooms. So for them to be able to pay $10, maybe $20 for a really nice looking orchid that would bloom for many months to come, to them, that's a great deal, and that's good enough. So there's nothing wrong with that too.
This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!